Global Transformation Astrology, GTA, with William Stickevers.
So we had the Jupiter Uranus crypto bull run that has been taking off like crazy. And we saw Bitcoin go from 20,000 to 70,000, 74,000. The other big run has to do with technology. So the two biggest things with this Jupiter Uranus is the crypto markets in the AI tech sector market. So we see the Jupiter Uranus AI tech bubble accelerating as well. If you look at the S&P 500, it looks very similar to the Bitcoin run. This is Bitcoin. This is S&P 500. It's not too different. And we're seeing here that everything is too successful to fail. So right now, the equal weighted S&P 500 has reached its lowest level relative to the S&P 500 index since March of 2009. Remember where the markets were in March of 2009? So this year, the S&P 500 has gained only 10% compared to Bitcoin, for instance, which I believe is up 50+%. I think it's around 60%, somewhere about there. All right. So the S&P 500 has moved up tremendously, but it's only been a 10% upward move, while the equal weighted index has only risen 3%. So that's in contrast to the Magnificent Seven AI tech-based stocks, which have surged over 50%. But it's important to realize that since the ratio peaked in February of 2023, the S&P has increased around 29% compared to just 7% gain for equal weighted index. So this is what the Jupiter Uranus is doing. It's saying if you're a too big AI technology-based company to fail, right? You're too successful, too smart to fail company, you're up 27%. If you're just a normal company, if you're a regular S&P bread and butter company, the 495 remaining companies, you're only up what? 6%. So what does that say? If this is a booming economy, how could 495 companies only be up 6%? And Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA's up 27%. So currently the six largest S&P 500 components reflect a record 30% of the index. So basically these companies here compose 30% of the entire value of the S&P 500. So when you take the 27% and you take the 6%, the S&P 500 is up 11%. So if this is a kick-ass economy, Bidenomics, knock it out of the ballpark, I have to reelect this guy no matter what, you're only up 11%. Now that is basically a modest or moderate market at best. So what we're seeing here is that there's weakness in the market. So the S&P is up 13% year to date. This is 11%. I know these numbers differ. This is year to date. The Magnificent Seven is up 30%, while the S&P 493 is just up barely 6.5%. So this is to give you an idea here that everything is not great. Outside of the AI trade, even if you're a tech company and you're not AI based, you're not making that much money. Your stock is not going through the roof. It's the two bigs, Magnificent Seven. The two successful AI to fail companies are the only ones propping up the market. So the Magnificent Seven really means just the Magnificent One. So when you compare the other six against NVIDIA is up a ridiculous 145% in just the past 5 months. NVIDIA is the company that makes all the AI chips, and NVIDIA carries the world and the S&P 500 on its shoulder. NVIDIA single-handedly carried the market through the first months of 2024, accounting for 32% of the S&P 500's total year-to-date return. You see how absurd? This is sounding very similar, by the way, to the dot-com boom that led to a dot-com bust. NVIDIA supersedes Apple's market cap. So now we see that the two top tech companies are no longer Microsoft and Apple. They are Microsoft and NVIDIA. And the real reason for that is because Apple doesn't have a real technological solution for AI. They are still way behind. Investors have finally called them out and said, listen, you're supposed to be like the cutting edge company. And Microsoft, through OpenAI, superseded you. Now, NVIDIA is coming out with these chips that are not going to be included in your phones, right? So this is very common with Jupiter Uranus, where people can see the future. With Jupiter Uranus, you can say, okay, I can see where the future is going now. It's very clear. And Apple doesn't seem to be part of that future, at least not at the moment. So there's a big shakeup happening in Apple, by the way, big shakeup. Now, some of you are like, well, why are you talking about AI? This doesn't really affect me. All right, let me explain how this is going to affect you. It's going to affect you in a number of ways, but the one way you're going to see it hit your screen, it's going to hit your Netflix screen with a vengeance in the coming weeks or months ahead, not years. And here's why. First, before I show you the chart to prove this, let me tell you what was just announced yesterday, right? When this was released on Variety magazine. Variety is the Hollywood tell-all insider trade magazine for entertainment in Hollywood in films. Hollywood's existential AI-induced crisis has already begun. Ashton Kutcher says soon you'll be able to render a whole movie using AI. The bar is going to have to go way up in Hollywood. So he stated in this press release when he was interviewed, why would you go out and shoot an establishing shot of a house in a television show when you could just create the establishing shot for just $100? To go out and shoot it would cost you thousands of dollars. In this case, when he's referring to a house, a movie studio, right? So why would you do this in a movie studio? For example, he says action scenes of me jumping off this building, you don't have to have a stunt person go do it. You could just do it with AI. Kucha added that while playing around with the software, he prompted Sora to create footage of a runner trying to escape a desert sandstorm. He said, quote, I didn't have to hire a CGI department to do it. I, in 5 minutes, rendered a video of an ultra marathoner running across the desert being chased by a sandstorm, and it looks exactly like that. Referencing a new processor from NVIDIA, this is how NVIDIA is connected, which is 30 times as preforming as existing software. Kutcher said that the video generating platforms like Sora, that's running off of these NVIDIA processors, are about to become exponentially better. You're able, and this is him speaking, you're able to render a whole movie. You'll just come up with an idea for a movie, then it will write the script. Then you'll input the script into the folder generator and it will generate the movie, he said. Instead of watching some movie that somebody else came up with, I myself can generate and then watch my own movie. So this system, Sora, sent ripples through Hollywood when OpenAI released preview footage in February. Not everyone is optimistic about what's happening. Tyler Perry, for one, halted an $800 million studio expansion project in Atlanta after seeing what Sora could do. He said, quote, there's got to be some sort of government regulation put in place soon in order to protect us, he said in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. If not, I just don't see how we survive, how the studio system. So what I did is I said, hey, all right, I already knew this was coming. You knew this was coming, right? I thought it would happen by next year. It's coming to a Netflix near you in weeks or months, depending on how fast they're going to do this.
To watch the full presentation and more like this on geopolitics, the economy, and world events from an archetypal and mundane astrological perspective, join the Global Transformation Astrology membership. Go to gta.williamstickevers.com. Become a GTA member today.